Today, I would like us to take the second half of the prayer, Hail Mary. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. When I made my first vows way back in Loreto, there was a big celebration. And when I made my final vows, we had another big celebration at St. Dominic's in Chishawasha. I remember so clearly that the best seats at each of these occasions were given to my parents, my father and my mother, as well as to my mother general. At any occasion of a child, be it a wedding, graduation, or whatever, if there's such a big celebration, the parents of that particular person always get the place of honor. They become the guests of honor, as it were. And this makes it very easy for me to understand Jesus in terms of the place where Mary is today. It is so easy to understand that Jesus in his kingdom would not want Mary to be anywhere else except close to him. And that is why she is the only person who has had the privilege to be assumed into heaven, close to her son.
I would like to share with you our common heritage as Catholics. And this is based on our common belief about Mary, her role in the history of salvation. In the church, we have a lot of feasts which celebrate the role of Mary. You have the Immaculate Conception, and you have the birthday of Mary herself. But the one that really touches me personally on a personal basis is the feast of the Assumption of our Blessed Lady. And I would like to reflect on this today, with you. And when I reflect on this feast, there's a story that comes to my mind, which helps me to understand and accept the great reality of the Assumption. And the Assumption tells us that Mary was assumed to heaven, body and the soul, the first person other than Christ to be wholly, totally, entirely assumed into heaven. And this story says that there was a man who was traveling, and when he was going with his car, somewhere along the road, he had a very terrible accident. The car turned, and the wheels were looking up, and he was entrapped inside. And a man came along who was living in that neighborhood, with the help of other people, turned the car the right position. It was badly damaged. The man was injured, took him to his house, nursed him back to health, gave him food, kept him for some time until he got well, and then sent him on his journey. After some time, there was a kind of a serious war in that place. And the man who helped the other traveler, together with his family now, became a refugee. and they were kept in a very, very miserable place. No water, no food. And the situation was very, very deplorable. So one day, a minister was coming, the Minister of Internal Affairs, to visit this refugee camp. And he was passing from room to room, looking at the situation that was very deplorable as he heard. So he came to this room and stopped, fixed his gaze on a person there and called him by name. Mr. Masara, is that you? And that man looked at him without understanding. Don't you remember me? I'm the man you saved when I had accident, traveling with my car. Said, oh yes, that's you. So he explained to his subordinates there, this man saved my life. And he gave orders that he, together with the family, should be taken to his own personal house, where he gave them an apartment. And they left the deplorable situation and they had a whole apartment to themselves. So when we think of the Assumption, we think of the story of someone who actually gave God himself accommodation. That God was seeking for where to stay, where to live, to accomplish his work of salvation. And he asked Mary, and Mary said, here I am. Behold, the handmaid of the Lord. Be it done unto me according to your word. As we read in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, from verses 38 onwards. And then Mary gave accommodation to Jesus, brought him to life, fed him, even protected him, saved him from Herod. And then through this hospitality, Christ was able to fulfill his mission as God and as man. So he ascended into heaven, Christ. And then when the mother died, he said to the angels, it is impossible for me to leave her in the situation of mere mortals. Bring her home. So the story of Assumption then celebrates what we can call repaired generosity, repaired hospitality, that Christ brought home to her, to his heavenly kingdom, her mother, who also is our mother. But that is not all. The story of Assumption has a very big lesson to teach us. And I will touch just some of them. The first lesson we have to learn here is that Mary is a sign for all of us that our journey in this world has a destination, and the destination is heaven. And if we have our mother, now in heaven, our destination, then we can actually say that heaven has really become home for us. Because we can say that home is where the mother is, where our mother is. That's where we can actually, with love, call home. And her destination becomes our destination. But how did she get there? She got there because of that great yes she said to the angel. This is the handmaid of the Lord. Here I am, do with me what you will. Then all who say yes to God in their lives become in a way also like Mary. People who are ready to give a place to Christ and allow Christ to be born through them in the world. Another thing I want to bring out here is that just like salvation story or history, started in a very serious way with Mary saying yes. It didn't end with her, it continues. Christ is still seeking for people who will accommodate him like Mary. People who will say to him, come, this is my body, this is my life, I give it over to you. Use me and do your work. And when we say this yes to Jesus, what happens? I would like also to point out that in the reading of the Assumption, we have a number of readings that the church chose. And one of the very, very beautiful readings is the reading taken from Apocalypse, the one we call the Lady of the Apocalypse, Apocalypse chapter 12. And we see that when Mary said yes, according to this reading, and then became pregnant and was about to deliver Jesus, the evil one was not happy. And this evil one, described symbolically as the dragon, was there by her side, ready to devour the child. Immediately, he was born. And I would like us to reflect briefly on the graphic definition and description given both to Mary and to the dragon, to see what we are facing up to in our own struggle. Let us first of all look at the Lady of the Apocalypse. The description said that is a lady clothed with the sun, with a crown of 12 stars and the moon under her feet. The sun is a symbol of brilliance, of light, also of power, purity, and it describes the purity of our mother, somebody who is also blessed, that full of grace, the light that shines from the eternal light that is God, shining on this lady, and she becomes herself like somebody inserted in the sun. Then we have the symbol of the star. We know that stars are a sign of honor. For example, if you want to sort of calibrate hotels, they say it's a hotel of 3 stars, 4 stars, 5-star hotel is a symbol of honor. But the star on the crown of Our Lady is not just 3 or 4 or 5. We are talking of 12 stars. And 12 is a symbolic language which symbolizes universality. So it shows that honor that will come from all the nations of the world, all generations, as we see also in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verse 48 and onwards. From now onwards, all generations will call me blessed. So this universality of the honor that comes to Our Lady is symbolized in the 12 stars, which can also point in a way to the 12 tribes of Israel. But in the New Testament, not just the 12 tribes of Israel, but the totality of the human race. And of course, crown is a symbol of authority. And Our Lady has this crown with the 12 stars. And then under her feet, we have the moon. This is also a very, very symbolic language. We say fair as the moon. Moon is the symbol of beauty. So, the beauty of the moon under the feet of Our Lady brings out a very, very beautiful picture. Having something under one's feet is already symbolic. Our Lady doesn't have the moon by her side, on her head, or in her hand, but under her feet. When something is under your feet, it means that you are superior to that thing. So under your feet, like if you have wrestlers, then you defeat somebody, some of them will just put their feet under the person defeated. And it's always a mark of superiority. So having the moon under her feet symbolizes that her beauty surpasses the beauty of the moon. Her fairness surpasses that of the moon. And here we see the greatness, the power, the beauty of the person that God has given us as our mother. And this is the person that is giving birth to the Messiah, to the Savior. And beside her, we have the dragon, the evil one, Satan, ready to destroy. And how was Satan described in the passage? Satan was described as a dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. Already we start to see something a bit awkward. Normally you get horns on heads, but how do you distribute 7 heads and 10 horns? It means that if you want sort of to arrange them, some heads will have 1 horn, others will have 2. And all of them point out the disorder and the confusion that is the very nature of the devil. Disharmony. And with his tail, the tail of the dragon, he was dragging down 1/3 of the stars. And it's interesting to know that he couldn't drag down all the stars, just 1/3. And the star is the symbol of God's work. When I look at the stars, the work of your hands. And the occupation and preoccupation of the devil is how to drag down this great work of the Lord. How do I destroy the stars the Lord has made? And when something is very, very strong, very, very popular, it becomes a star. You can have stars in the music, you can have economic stars in various ways. And God has his own stars in human people. And also, this evil force is looking for ways and means of dragging them down. Whether you are a young person, you are a priest, you are a sister, you are just a young girl or a young boy, and you want to shine for Jesus, you'll be sure that the devil will be looking for ways and means of dragging you down. It is very, very heartening to know that he hasn't got the power to drag down all the stars. If we are trying to talk, what kind of stars can he drag down? Those maybe like the proud angels deceived by the devil, Lucifer and his angels, who didn't want to acknowledge the supremacy of God, and by pride allowed themselves to be dragged down. Today, pride can also play the same role and lead to fall. So that is the dragon. And he was there waiting for the child to be born to catch this child and to destroy him. But we know how the story ended. That the lady, weak as she was, being human, but trusting in God, was not overcome by the devil. She delivered the child, and the child was snatched away and taken to God. The evil one turned to her, and what happened? She was given wings to fly. For us, prayer is the wing that sets us in flight, and we can fly higher and higher on the wings of prayer. A Christian that fights the evil one without prayer is like somebody fighting this horrible, powerful, potent dragon with bare hands. So, what do we learn from here? It is very important to know that in our warfare against the evil one, we have a very, very strong force. that is out and out to destroy what we want to do for God, to destroy anybody who is set on saying yes and making Christ born in his life. And if you really want to know how to fight this dragon, it is very important to know how the dragon is made. And the passage says, and I repeat, that it has got 7 heads. And what does this mean, the 7 heads of the devil? It represents the capacity of the evil one to appear in different forms. The evil one can come with the head of praising you and flattering you, and you can lose your own head, and that will lead to the fall. It can come with the head of causing you pain, disappointment, disillusion, and somebody can lose heart and then let go the faith. It can come with pleasure, and you can be lost in the forest of pleasure and forget that you have a spiritual journey to make. The evil one can come with another head of riches, of wealth, and because of money, study the money, somebody then can forget his God. It can come with the head of power tussle, love for power. And when this comes, you can think, that you are even God himself, and then forget that you are also a creature. So the message is, fighting with the devil means having the capacity to recognize him, no matter the head he shows at each given time. And it also means, in order to win, to know that we are not fighting alone. Just as Our Lady won through prayer, through trust in God, we too can win, not counting on our forces, but counting on the power of the person who has called and chosen us. Our Lady has gone to heaven, and as a mother, she is waiting for us. And our own duty is to follow her example and say yes to God and fight with full dependence on the grace of God that will never fail us. The Feast of Assumption celebrates someone who said yes to God. And Mary invited God into her womb, and God came, and through the help of Mary, Christ became man. He nourished him, gave birth to him, and gave him food. Her maternal milk, gave in Egypt. Possibly, we would not have got our salvation. Christ would have been killed. So, Mary saved the life of Christ. As in our story, the man saved the life of the minister. So Christ said, it is impossible for me to leave the one who saved my life, who helped me so much, to rot away in the common grave of ordinary people. And he gave orders to his angels and said, bring her to my eternal home. So that is the feast that the church celebrates, the Feast of Assumption. And one can say, what does this feast mean for us? The first thing I want to say about Assumption is that the incarnation is not finished. Through the incarnation, Christ physically entered into the womb of Mary. But incarnation continues. Christ is still doing his work of salvation. But right now, it's not just through Mary, but through us. He's like knocking at the doors of our hearts, asking, can I come in? And as we read in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 20, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If one hears my voice and opens the door, I will come and dine with him. So if we say yes to him, he will certainly come. And when he comes, we too can become like Mary, carriers of Jesus. We can make him born afresh in our world through our actions, through our words, through the things we do. Through us, Christ can continue again his work of salvation. But what happens when one decides is that the person automatically becomes a great collaborator of God. Somebody whom God can count on and becomes like a channel that God can use to reach out to many other people. The second enemy will fight you because you are now enrolled in the army of God. And becoming a soldier of God, you automatically become a target for the evil one. And he will try to do everything within his power to wound you, if not to destroy.
Because Mary has been assumed into heaven, we call her Queen of Heaven and Earth. And want to conclude this episode by calling on the Queen of Heaven to intercede for us to her Son. Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy. Hail our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To you do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To you do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping this vale of tears. Turn then, O most gracious Advocate, your eyes of mercy towards us, and after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of your womb, Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary.